Hi folks, Reckless Abandon here. In my last video I covered the big three as far as post-hike gear reviews. Now I'm going to cover some of the smaller things, the little things that you don't even think about until the last minute. You suddenly discover they're pretty doggone important. So this one is going to focus on the little things. Then we'll get into it, possibly another video that has all the rest of the stuff that's the more standardized stuff. Number one, earplugs. If you're going to sleep in a shelter, you might want to have these. And if you're a snorer, you might want to have a bunch of them to hand them out as courtesy earplugs, okay? These are very simple. They're called Heroes, H-E-A-R-O-S, I believe it is. You buy them at Walgreens. They come in a jar of like 100 or more. But just take a handful of them and be prepared. If you find yourself in a shelter, there's always going to be somebody as old as me, probably snoring, man or woman, it doesn't matter, trust me, I understand both of them. And it doesn't hurt to have one to put yourself, you will tune out everything. And if you've got enough of them to pass out, if you're the snorer, you're going to be the hero because nobody wants to listen to you snore, trust me. But I only slept in maybe 8, 9 shelters that entire trip, and I only had to pass these out maybe 3 times, and that was because the other times I was either alone or the entire shelter was full of old men like myself and nobody really cared. We were going to snore and we all knew it. So that's it. That's number one, Heroes earplugs. Number two, if you got an iPhone, you're going to probably have yourself a charger cable, okay? Now this is like a 3-foot charger cable. I took a 3-foot and a 6-foot. I wanted a 6-foot because I wanted to be able to put the charging battery in my foot box and still use my phone at night. And I did that until it broke. And we all know how it breaks. That little end here cracks. Next thing you know, it's not working anymore. Well, I had a spare, and the spare was a 3-footer. After about 3 weeks, it quit working. Somebody was with me at the time, and they had a spare 3-footer. They gave it to me. 3 days later, it quit working. I finally went to Walmart, and I bought this cloth style. I think it's cloth. I don't know what it's made of. At any rate, this thing lasted the rest of the hike, no problem. Start off with this. Save yourself some trouble. Leave these at home. Buy yourself one of these at Walmart. It's worth the trouble. I think it was 15, 20 bucks, something like that. It was absolutely worth it because I used it the rest of the trip, never had a problem with it. Okay? Number 3, I bought a bunch of reflective tape. And I put this reflective tape on items that I thought might get mixed up with other people, such as my tent. I put it on the outside of my tent where I could see it from a distance. When you get to Damascus and you pitch your tent in Tent City and 17 people have the exact same tent you do, you're going to want an identifier. And it's nice when you're coming back from the privy or you're coming back from the bear bag hang and you can't find your tent in the dark. If you got your headlamp on, this thing will scream at you, okay? So I put this on my tent. I also put it on my food bag. This is the Z-Packs bear bag, and I put 2 X's, one on each side, at the bottom. So if it's hanging up in a tree, especially if it's in a bear cable, such as in Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, where there's a whole bunch of bags in one spot, and everybody's got this blue bag, you're going to want to know which one is yours right off the bat. So put these on bottoms of both sides. The only thing I didn't do, and I wish I had, was to put one at the top as well, because when it goes in a bear bin, all you're looking at is the top of the bag. You can't see this down here. So if you get this, I bought 2 feet of it for like $3 at Home Depot, cut it up into small strips, and marked the outside of my gear on a lot of items. I did my tent, I did my bear bag kit, I did my Toaks titanium cook pot, okay, because everybody's got this pot as well, and you want to know which one you're supposed to be, you know, grabbing when it's time to eat, because people are sitting around the table and they all have one of these. Now, next thing was this Koozie. This Koozie lasted the entire 2,200 miles. Homemade Koozie. The videos on how to make these things are on the YouTube channels of both Dixie and Darwin, okay? I followed both of them, and I made myself 2 of these Koozies. I kept one at home and told my wife, at some point I'm sure I'm going to have you send it to me. Never did. This one lasted the entire trip. Loved it, okay? It makes it a lot easier to handle that pot after you've cooked in it. I ate out of my pot. A lot of people don't eat out of their pot. They eat out of the baggie so they don't have to clean their pot. Well, I had, where is it here? There we are. I took a scouring pad and I cut it into quarters, okay? So this is 1/4 of a scouring pad. I threw it in my pot along with my lighter and my stove and my cleanup bag, my cleanup cloth, and This scrubs the pot out. Having one of these and then wringing it out when you're done, knocking the debris off of it and then throwing it in there, made this a lot easier to clean. So I didn't mind taking the extra 30 seconds it takes to clean this and the extra 2 ounces of water. Big deal. Have one of these handy. Next, a carabiner. You're not going to believe how often you're going to be looking for a carabiner. Just have one that you know you're probably never going to use and throw it in the bottom of your belt pouch or someplace. Place that this became handy. I slack packed one time in Virginia where they gave you a day pack to carry, and it was basically a drawstring, a double drawstring. You could throw your arms on it and the pack rode on your back. It was just a little sack. You take this little carabiner and you hook the 2 drawstrings together and it holds it together here in the middle so it's not sliding off your shoulders while you're walking. That little hack was absolutely invaluable. For 20 miles, I was blessed I had this. Next, I took a thing of dental floss, but in the dental floss case, I actually added a needle, a sewing needle. There it is right there. There's the dental floss. There's the sewing needle. And I would sterilize this to pop my blisters. Now that only happened the first 500 miles. After that, things got much, much better, and my feet were not blistering near as much. But to be able to pop your blister and do it cleanly, take a sewing needle, stick it inside the dental floss case and close it down. And you've got dental floss, and the dental floss can be used with the sewing needle if you have to repair gear. But that sewing needle, I used it several times. One of the other things I did as far as the cook pot goes, once I put all my stuff in the cook pot, I used a rubber band. This you can get those that say, like, they wear them on their wrist. It says "Live Strong" or any other charity that people are giving. The people give these out at Damascus. Just grab one of them, and you put all your stuff in your pot, and then quickly rubber band the pot shut, so nothing in it, it's not going to fall open, okay? That little rubber band, invaluable. Next, a little piece of paracord. This is probably 10, 15 feet of paracord. Found it laying in the trail one day. Must have fallen out of somebody's pack. Never found that person, and I asked a few. At any rate, this was great to have. I used it for several different things. Use it as a clothesline to hang, but you could tie it to 2 trees and then hang your clothes on it and your socks on it to dry overnight. That was helpful. I also used it at times like in Mahoosic Notch up in Maine, or I can't remember the other location, Lehigh Gap, where I would tie a pack. In Mahoosic Notch, I'd tie one end to my pack and then crawl through the notch and then pull my pack behind me, okay? At Lehigh Gap, somebody else could not negotiate climbing up a particular section of the rock face with their pack on. So I dropped down my line and they tied one end to their pack. I pulled their pack up so that they could climb up without wearing their pack. So this little piece of paracord, just leave it in the outside net of your bag. Nice to have, and you'd be surprised how many times you'll find yourself using it, and thankful you had it. You may never need it, but if you do, this doesn't weigh that much. Next, my little Z-Packs wallet. Little thing. Z-Packs wallet is just the right size for all your credit cards, your ID, your insurance cards, and your cash. And this always stayed in my belt pouch. It never came out of my belt pouch until I was ready to use it, and it always went right back. So I always knew where it was. But that little thing was great to have. Next thing I want to show you is something called Ignero. Ignero are silicone rings, okay? Wedding rings. Instead of carrying my gold band on the trail, my wife bought me a pack of these. They cost like $2, $3 online on Amazon, but it was a silicone ring, so you can actually just replace your wedding ring with that. They come in several sizes. You pick the size. We didn't know what size my finger was, so she bought 2 sizes. I mean, they're only a couple of dollars each. I found the right one. I carried it, and it was great to have. Left my wedding ring at home. So Ignero, E-G-N-A-R-O. Look for them online. Next was lighters. I started off with a Bic mini lighter. Okay, I'm going to save a lot of weight carrying this bad boy. Well, you know what? You're going to hate this thing the minute the weather turns cold, because this is so small and so difficult to grip when your fingers are frozen and it's 18 degrees in the morning, you're trying to light your stove, and it's painful on the fingers to run that dial. And if your finger is just a little bit wet and it hits at one time, it's not going to light. It's not going to light. And then you're stuck. You don't know what to do, okay? First of all, get a regular size lighter, okay? Don't worry about these little tiny things. They're not going to save you any weight at all. Get a regular size lighter, and better yet, if you can, if you feel like I had one for a while, get the one that looks like a grill lighter. It's only about this much longer. It's got a little stem and it's got a trigger to it, so you can trigger it and not have to spin that wheel. This spinning wheel, this little metal wheel, is hard to spin when your fingers are frozen. Believe me. Next, the bidet. A lot of controversy out there. I don't know why it's controversial, because anybody who's used it swears by it. It comes as a set of 3. It's called a Koozie portable bidet. And you buy them on Amazon. It comes as a set of 3, red, white, and blue, for like 13 bucks. You slap this thing on the end of your smart water bottle. People, ooh, I don't want to drink out of that bottle because then your poop water has touched it. Not if you do it right. You don't stick it right into the middle and squirt straight up. You aim at it from behind and squirt this way. Believe me, you will save so much on toilet paper, because you only need just enough toilet paper to knock off the main debris. Then go straight to this and clean it up, sanitize your hands, and move on. The bidet. Spare water bottle caps. Okay, you're going to drop one in a river. You're gonna wish you had extras of these. You're gonna wish you had these. I probably carried 2 at all times. I finished the trail with no extras, okay? Which means at some point I lost 2, and I broke one. I broke one on Mount Katahdin on the way up that mountain. Water bottle fell out of my pack, went halfway, maybe 10 yards down. I mean, it went a long ways down, and somebody was down there and got it and brought it up to me, and it was missing half the cap. It had broken off. I had one of these in my pack, changed it out right away. Was able to finish Mount Katahdin with a water bottle that I could count on. So you're going to want one of these. Next, I had bought initially a big bottle of Dr. Bronner's soap, and then I broke it down into these little travel size containers and taped them shut, and told my wife, okay, I'm going to have you mail me one of these every month or so. I don't think I used this much the entire trip. Every hostel or hotel you're in, they've already got soap, shampoo, conditioner. You're not going to need this except the days when you're on a trail. And you're probably only going to wash your hands using something like this maybe once a day at best, okay? I don't think one of these was empty by the time I got to Katahdin. I used it, so I washed my hands off in the river a lot. One of the things that I did do at the river as well, initially I had bought a Shamwell. Now this is only 1/4 of a piece of Shamwell, 1/4 of what I purchased. This is what it looked like after 2,200 miles. It's a lot smaller because it's gone through the wash and the dryer many, many times. But I carried this down to the river every night when I got to camp, and after I finished filtering all my water, I'd wet this off in the river and wash my legs off and my feet. I usually had my camp shoes on at that point. Wash your legs and your feet every night. You're going to want to do that because they're going to be covered in mud. They're going to be disgusting. You don't want those legs to be all wet and sticky and muddy when you climb into your sleeping bag at night. You get one of these. Now, the other places this becomes really, really handy is in the morning you wake up. If you got a DCF tent like I do, which is a Z-Pax duplex, you just reach up and start wiping the condensation off the roof of your tent, okay? You're not going to get all of it, but you're going to get a good bit. Wring it out outside your tent. Now, if for any reason it rained over the course of the night and any water at all gets in your tent, it's going to happen once or twice. Have this right there next to your sleeping pad. I always had it out and available and accessible during the course of the night. I wake up in the morning, if I found water in the bottom of my tent, I grabbed this, mopped it up right off, squeezed it right out. I didn't have to pack up an interiorly wet tent. The outside might be wet, but the interior was going to be dry by the time I packed that thing up. So Shamwell, one of the greatest little investments. Next, I started off the trail carrying Walmart and Walgreens bags like this. I usually carried about 3 of them with me. And I used them for trash bags. They're lightweight, they're free. You get them at every resupply point. So you just stuff these in the bottom of your food bag, right? Till you get to New England. And all of a sudden in Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Massachusetts, places like that, Maine. These are outlawed. New York, they're outlawed. You can't get these. They charge you to put your food in a paper bag. You pay a nickel for that paper bag. So fine, do that. But you can't carry that paper bag with you on the trail as a trash bag. It's silly. So in lieu of these, oddly, these are illegal. These are not. This is at the produce department. Buy yourself one banana. Stick it in here. Buy an apple. Buy an orange. Throw it in one of these little bags and then carry it out. This becomes your trash bag. Okay? Doesn't hurt to have a banana in one and an apple in one and an orange in the other, and you got 3 of them. So you can't have this, but you can have that. I don't know how to make sense out of it. Next is the camp towel. I bought this at REI. Just a regular old camp towel. I don't know if it's medium or small. I don't remember what size this is. But this is the tablecloth between the picnic table and your food. Okay? And you put this down before you bring everything out. I was a fussy little houseboy when I had my meals in the morning and at night. This was always laying out to protect everything that was mine from whatever was on that picnic table. At some point during the morning, in the first river I'd come to, I could rinse this thing out, wring it out, hang it, because it's got a snap on here with a loop, hang it on my pack, and it would dry out. By the time I got to camp that night, it was dry and ready to go. It's some kind of a fiber cloth. I don't know what they call it. Dries quick, it's very absorbent, and it is wonderful to have. So, I mean, just little things. Again, it's the little things. That covers all the small stuff I wanted to talk about. These are the little things that you don't typically see in somebody's gear list or pack list. There's just the little tiny things that make a difference in how you're going to handle your hike and how your hike's going to treat you. So if you've got any ideas and you've got some great hacks that you think, how did he not carry this? Put it in the comments below. Love to hear about them. Talk to you later.